Okay, so welcome back. Today, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to talk about my top $500 tech, computer, video, photography, whatever purchases. And the main reason why I'm doing this is because I noticed that some of these items I've actually already purchased and they've all been at about this price point. And then I have some upcoming purchases, same thing, they're right at the $500 price point. So I figured, you know what? Why not just do a list of my top five? Because these are the ones that I'm going to either select or I've already selected, and kind of put that out there. And if you have any questions about any of these items, feel free to ask. I will tell you that two of these, at the very least, at least one of them is kind of it's a little bit different than the stuff that I normally talk about on this channel. And you know, you may have a hard time trying to basically consider them to be a tech purchase, but I'm going to explain my rationale when I get to them. So without further ado, we're going to jump right in. The first thing I'll talk about is the DJI Pocket 2, the creator combo. Now, this is something I've already reviewed because I own this device, but I figured I'd put it on here just because it is $499. It is right at that price point. And this is actually right in line with the purchases I've been making. So it's pretty neat that, you know, it just happened to be right at, you know, 500 bucks, put it on here. But great device. And I definitely want to put it on here because, like I said, if you're the beginner just starting out and you want to know, hey, what's a good camera? Because I want to do videos. Or really, I've actually taken stills with this and I was pretty happy with them. You know, if you want to do talking headshots, if you want to just do interviews, this thing can do so much in such a tiny package. I literally just keep this in my vehicle charged, and that way it's always ready to go. Sometimes I use it when I'm actually inside the studio or wherever, just because I can, and it's really simple. It's got a great app, lavalier mic. I will tell you, I don't even really use the lavalier mic anymore, just because the in-body microphones are phenomenal. They are the best that I've ever heard on a camera, and I would say that goes for any Canon I've owned, Panasonic, or Sony. Far superior, you know. So once again, I love this device, and at that price point, you can't beat it for the creator combo. Now, if you decide to save some money and get the Pocket 2 without the combo, I don't think you would be disappointed because it still is a great device. All right, so moving right along, that was my number five. So my number four is going to be a little bit different because you normally don't see this type of stuff on my channel, and this is the Bibene Charlie 9 505, or it's the Charlie November 505. It is actually kind of a variant of the Alcatel with the same nomenclature. So basically what they did is they created these power stations and then they just rebrand them. If you're not familiar with a power station, you generally see these on like channels that talk more about camping and RVing and living in vans, because this is just a power source and you can use it to basically power pretty much anything as long as you don't exceed the maximum wattage threshold, which on this device is about 500 watts. However, there are 614 watt hours available. So what I use it for really is a couple of different things. Number one, keep all my equipment charged. So when I'm out long day and you know I'm not coming back to a house or I'm not going to be around the outlets or any outlets, I can actually just plug all my stuff in, turn it on, and leave it. And I come back, I have fully charged equipment. Same thing goes for, you know, laptops. I mean, you name it, because it does have 110 on it. It also has USB-C. It has, you know, just USB ports. It has DC, which it has 2.1 jacks, which I love, by the way. I make a lot of those. I don't have any examples around here. Well, maybe I do. No, but what I actually do, take that back. I do have one. So like, they look like this here. So I like to make a lot of my plugs out of this versus using um, uh, cigarette lighters, because these are more secure, but they carry the same amount of voltage. So yeah, it has those plugs, and you know it's actually fairly light. The other use that I get out of this is it serves as an uninterrupted power source, which if you're not familiar with a UPS, it's a really it's a battery that, you know, depending on where you work, and I worked in places where the standard was every desktop had to have a UPS, which was kind of a pain because if you ever needed to move the desktop or laptop, all that has to come with you. If you had to service it, same thing. You got to move these things out of the way, and every system in the building had those, and they're like lead acid batteries, so they are like really heavy. This can be used for the exact same purpose. And the cool thing about this device is it is actually an iron phosphate battery, or also known as LiPo 4. So therefore, the life cycles are actually higher. So you actually can generally get about 2,000 cycles before the battery starts to degrade. And at that 2,000 or so point, it'll just degrade to where like it will only charge up to 80%. That's a long, long, long time. So once again, this is kind of sold itself. Now, the other items, or I would say solar generators that you see like this, most of them, a lot of cases, aren't the LiPo 4 batteries yet. They're just regular lithium ion batteries. And I've noticed that manufacturers are slowly starting to come around and offer LiPo 4. I would say if you're going to get one or the other, get the LiPo 4 so you can get that longer life. And you can look up the downsides of each to see which one makes more sense to you. But I like this. And once again, I own this already. I will be doing a more in-depth review. And when I do the review, I'm actually going to put another item that's on here on this list with it so I can test them together. So jumping to my next item, it's going to be the Lenovo C13 ThinkPad Yoga Chromebook. I've already talked about this in the initial review. My only complaint about this laptop was the price. Now, this price just went up a little bit, and this is on Amazon, but you can go to Lenovo or other sites and get it for less. But right now it's saying, according to my screen, $669, which was a surprise to me. But yesterday it was on Amazon for $569, and it's actually on Walmart for $569. Or you could go to the Lenovo's website and get it for $589, slightly above the $500 price point. But still, to me, it was close enough that I really wanted to include it on the list because I thought it was a great device, considering what you get with it. And like I said, when I initially talked about this on the channel, the only issue I had with it was the price point, and because evidently I'm such a big deal, Lenovo listened and they dropped it down. So you're welcome. All right, the next thing is going to be, let's see. So this is the far left field thing I was telling you about. So this is the Indel B TB18A travel box. If you don't know what this is, I had never heard the term travel box, but I had heard the term portable refrigerator, right? So this is a DC portable refrigerator freezer. It has a compressor, and once again, it runs off the 12 volt. And the reason why I got this is because me personally, when I'm out and about and I'm doing all these things, whether it's, out shooting, or even sometimes I'm just doing physical fitness. If I'm out running or mountain biking, I come back to the vehicle, I want something cold to drink, generally. And this right here is what I'm using it for. Same thing with hiking, or if I'm out shooting landscape, and I still got to drive, to get home. It's nice to be able to just relax and unwind in my mobile office, which, by the way, I haven't mentioned this to you, but I have a mobile office in my van, and that actually is where this is primarily going to reside when I'm on the road. Now, when I'm not on the road, this will be upstairs in the office, because the other cool thing about this is I bought an adapter for it, and I can actually run it off of AC. And when I run it off of AC, because it does not come with a DC to AC adapter, or AC to DC converter is what I should say, then it can sit right next to my desk, and then that way when I'm doing editing or photo work or something that's taking a long time writing scripts, then if I want something to drink or something that needs to stay refrigerated to eat, it's inside of there, and I can just keep working. So I like the idea, the fact that it came with the strap on it. It actually makes it so much easier to transport. It's really not even that heavy, of course, until you start loading it down. The performance so far has been great. I will be reviewing this on the channel eventually. So you'll get to see this in addition to the Bibene, because I want to show you how they perform together. And, I actually have solar in my van. And what I did is I kind of figured out, how much life I'm going to get if there's no sun, no charging. And I was pretty amazed at the combo between those two particular devices. And then when you start throwing in the solar, I'm even more amazed, because even on cloudy days like today is, the battery is actually staying topped off. Now, granted, it discharges at night, but it's got a pretty fast. The Bibene's got a fast enough charge rate where, and then the compressor, because the compressor in this refrigerator is actually a Danfoss or a Sepco compressor, which is really efficient, doesn't really use that much electricity. It's really neat. So moving right along, once again, like I said, you need to get a converter. The other thing I've bought with the refrigerator was just a Bluetooth hydrometer slash thermometer because I wanted to constantly maintain the temperature or have awareness or SA of the temperature and the humidity. And this actually just works off an app on my phone using Bluetooth. It actually has a really long range. Like I can check it inside of my house, but it basically allows me to make sure that if I have food in there, it stays in that safe zone and I don't eat something that maybe the refrigerator dropped or went above and ruined the food and then went below and I didn't know and then I ate it because I'm thinking it's cold and it's actually bad for me. So just something I just bought just to have. All right, last thing I'll talk about will be, I guess this would be number one on the list. But once again, this list isn't really set up in the fashion that one is necessarily better than the other. But this, by far, is a really good choice at 500 bucks. If you have a Sony full frame camera, and I would even say if you have an APS-C sensor Sony, because it is E-mount. Now, the reason why I say that is because when Sigma released the 100 to 400, that was the lens that I was focused on buying next. And it came in at a higher price point. So it was like 949 bucks, right? So then, Tamron announced this one. And actually, like I said, I already made up my mind I was going to buy the Sigma because I love Sigma. I'm shooting on the Sigma 2470 2.8 right now. Well, needless to say, this lens came out. And the thing that the Sigma didn't do that this lens does is it actually starts at 70 versus the Sigma, I have that gap in there between 70 and 100, which for me wasn't as big of a deal, but it's like I really don't want a 30 millimeter gap. I'd rather be able to go from 70, all the way up to wherever. And, but then I was like, well, the 400 millimeters versus the 300 millimeters. The great thing was before I got rid of my micro four thirds system, I went out and shot with the Olympus 150 millimeter lens, and it was awesome. It was the perfect focal range for me. And then of course, because that's micro four thirds, the equivalent is a 300 millimeter full frame. I'm like, I would be happy with 300 millimeters. And lo and behold, they actually introduced this lens. So now at 70, it pairs nicely with the lens I'm shooting on, which is the 24 to 70 millimeter. Now, what do I give up? Okay, in the case of the Sigma, I'm not really giving up a whole lot when it comes to like f-stop, but I am giving up that reach. I'm also giving up the image stability. There were a few other things about that lens because it has like buttons and stuff on the outside. I mean, it's a Sigma. You pay more, but you're getting, to me, you're probably even getting maybe a slightly better build quality too. But with this lens, I will say Tamron, I've been very impressed with their products. I know a lot of people that actually shoot with Tamron. They swear by Tamron. Uh, so for me, wasn't really concerned about build quality. It comes with a 6-year warranty also. And by the way, I take care of my equipment. Uh, and then on top of that, I don't need the 2.8, which is one of the other reasons why I wasn't necessarily looking at the 70 to 180 Tamron, which looks just like this lens, but once again, it's a faster f-stop. It's going to be a little bit heavier just because, in order to achieve that, you have to do something to the weight because you're adding stuff. And then I even thought about, well, maybe I'll just wait for Sigma to drop their version of the 70 to 180, or I think they were going to do a 70 to 200 millimeter. But then again, I'm giving up that 300, which I really like that focal length. This came out, and then when I saw the price, I'm like, this is a no-brainer. I've watched reviews, I reviewed, footage, I reviewed raws, and I would be more than happy with this. The other cool thing about this lens, and I really don't want to let the cat out of the bag, but I've seen these things go for super cheap used. And knowing how old the lens is, because it's really a new lens, yeah, when I do pick one up, it'll probably be a used one. I think I saw one the other day and I really should have just purchased it, but I believe I was in the process of buying all this other stuff that I was like, nah, I'm gonna go ahead and buy the power station and the fridge. So I bought them almost back to back. So, but yeah, I really should have just bought the Tamron. That lens was $329, and to me, a $329 full frame E-mount lens that's 70 to 300 millimeters, that's light, because by the way, this is the same size as like, the 24 to 70, same body, the way that I understand it, 24 to 70, 2.8. Uh, Once again, I didn't see a downside. So yeah, this is definitely going to be a purchase. I just haven't purchased it yet. And really just to recap, the other items that I have purchased and reviews are coming are going to be the Indel B travel box, as well as the Bibene CN505. And then, of course, I already reviewed the DJI Pocket too. So really, there's only two items on this list that I don't own currently. And that's this lens, which it's coming. And then, like I said, the Lenovo Chromebook C13, but there's no reason for me to pick that up right now since I have a few ThinkPads. I don't need that one yet. All right, so that's it. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them down below, comments as well. Click like, subscribe, and Agent Fit signing out.